So, a next-gen console only being able to output sub-full HD. That's right. We're talking about numbers on the 7th generation of consoles, not the 8th gen, the 7th gen, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And you're only getting those numbers on a 9th generation console. It is really freaking ridiculous, and it is like, it's really so stupid. Like, it's so ignorant. This is so freaking ridiculous. But anyway, let's get this video started. This is going to be a rant. So, Microsoft actually announced this back in E3 of 2018 when they basically announced and said that they were pretty much working on a couple of next generation Xboxes at the time when the Xbox One X was still the most powerful console out at the time. And things are really, really not looking good, especially for Microsoft's cheaper, affordable, budget-friendly console, the Xbox Series S. And this is going to be a rant, especially from me, and especially watching a couple YouTubers also discuss their feelings of it, and I really don't blame them one little bit. You know, we do have the right to basically complain. Now, I do have plans that I am going to still eventually get the Xbox Series S, so that way I have a digital console to where I don't have to take discs, and the more cheaper one, so I can basically have it as my pretty much on the go, going to a friend's house, whatnot, type of stay in the night type of game system out of the next generation. But with games only running at sub full HD, like 720p and especially 900p, that just makes you scratch your head. Well, if that was really the case, then why did Microsoft even develop the Xbox Series S in the first place? And we're also going to talk about storage too, because we actually have just gotten confirmed of the amount of storage that is also in the Xbox Series S. And honestly, I just don't see this console really, you know, I see a lot of people having more comments about it than anything else. Like, it's just not going to go all that well. Now, for the pricing that it is, this possibly could be the reason why Microsoft has made it really, really affordable. But even still, with only games running at some full HD, it just doesn't make sense for especially a 9th generation console when you got games that even ran at that, even at the max resolution of 1080p on the 7th generation consoles. Like, the majority of games on the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, literally ran at 720p and also 1080p as well. Like, most of the Call of Duties, like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare COD 4, and Black Ops 1, Call of Duty Ghost, and I think even World at War, all of those Call of Duty games basically ran at 1080p on both of the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. And, you know, it's just it's so disappointing. And I can honestly, like I said, I am on these guys' side at all. Now, the two YouTubers that I watched talk about the Xbox Series S's and their frustration of their opinions with the Series S only running at sub full HD are Review Tech USA, which I am like a big supporter of his YouTube channel, and also Dreamcast Guy, which is another humongous big YouTuber that I love watching videos on. And, you know, it's just so freaking, it's so disappointing to see a console in 2020 only run at 720p. And now I understand that it's only dynamic resolution, so it basically is a current gen game that is getting enhanced on the next gen consoles. And it's, if you're wondering what it is, it's Gears of War 5. Now, Digital Foundry made a video just about a day or two ago talking about the enhanced versions of Gears of War 5 running on the Series X as well as the Series S. And even the Series X looks like it's a 10 time way much better of a choice when it comes to next gen gaming. Like, I am so freaking proud and I'm so freaking thankful that I honestly choose the Xbox Series X over the Xbox Series S. And they're saying that the game can actually max out at 4K resolution, but it does, have dynamic scaling resolution and whatnot that goes all the way down to basically 1080p. Now, you would honestly think that, that would be the case for the Xbox Series S, since they have stated that the max resolution that Gears 5 runs on the Series S is 1440p, but no, the dynamic scaling resolution goes all the way freaking down to 720p, and it just ain't right. Now, the other game that runs at sub full HD, which it only runs at 900p if you want the 60 frames per second option, it is the Yakuza Like a Dragon. That game literally runs at a solid 1440p at 30 frames a second, but if you want the highest performance option, you're only going to get 900p on that game. And that's just for the Xbox Series S version of the game. Now, the Xbox Series X, we honestly don't know, and if we do, I personally don't know what the game runs on there. It was just showing off of the Xbox Series S. So, yeah, and it's like I said, it's so disappointing to see a game on a newer generation console here in 2020 only run as sub full HD. It's just so freaking disappointing, especially when you got a console that is more powerful, like 3 times less powerful than it, and it can run at pretty much every single game at a solid 1080p. Yes, we are talking about the base PlayStation 4. That game, or that console is what I meant to say, can actually run most, if not pretty much every single game at a solid 1080p. Now, there are some games that will have dynamic resolution scaling that will basically drop the resolution down to somewhere like 900p. We've seen it on games like Battlefield 4, and I think the Marvel Spider-Man Game of the Year 2018 game actually did the same thing as well. But you get my point. It basically most of the time was captured at 1080p, and that's what a lot of games ran at on the base PS4. And you're talking about a console that only has double of the, sorry, I said that wrong. You're talking about a console that basically only has half of the power of the Xbox Series S, still managing to basically be a solid 1080p console. Microsoft, why did you even develop the Xbox Series S in the first place? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're talking about, if games can only run at sub full HD, then what's the point? We're talking about consoles back in 2005 in 2006 that managed to do really, really well with those numbers. And you're talking about a console, brand new, that has not released yet, that is coming out in late 2020. And you're talking about a new console only hitting those numbers 15 years later. I mean, I can understand that the Series S is an affordable, budget-friendly console, but what is making it so hard to basically make games run at least 1080p? If games can actually be able to go as low as 1080p on the Xbox Series S, people would be okay with it. But sub full HD, like I mentioned, at 900p and even 720p, even with dynamic resolution scaling, it just doesn't make sense, like, at all. Like, we have 4K TVs, we even got 8K TVs right now on the market, and they have been out for a total of 2 years, even though these next-gen consoles like the Series X and the PS5 are basically not going to be able to hit 8K like Microsoft and Sony have basically, touted out, as these consoles are able to basically play at upscaling 8K, but they're only basically able to play at 4K on the majority of games. And this is the world where we are at. This is the generation that we are at. We're in the 4K going into the 8K era, and you can't even get games to run at 1080p. I just don't understand it. Like, it's so disappointing. Now, like I stated, I'm still going to get the Xbox Series S, and I'll even do an unboxing video and whatnot when I do get it. But I am not going to have the Xbox Series S, at least not for quite a while. But it's going to be my basically stay in the night at a friend's house on the go type of system, so I can still play my current generation games, or next generation games, I should say, for right now being. And that way I can actually still play them. I just won't be able to play them at, the highest resolution as I do on home at my house with the 4K TVs I technically got. But I'm telling you, a console in 2020 from these numbers back in 2005 is really completely disappointing. Like, no joke. It's so disappointing that, it really just makes me not even want to freaking even bother buying the Xbox Series S. But, like I stated, I'm still going to get it, no matter what the odds are. But it's just really disappointing to see a console in 2020 only be able to run at sub full HD. And when you got consoles from back in 2005 and 2006 that were basically able to hit that target and even higher at native 1080p at the solid max resolution. And then also the same thing being with even the OG PlayStation 4 being able to basically play 90% of all games at a solid 1080p. It's just so disappointing when you compare it with those two consoles, or with those three consoles, I should say. The PS3, the 360, and then also the OG PS4. And then even some cases, the OG Xbox One, because some games on the OG Xbox One still manage to hit 1080p. And, never had dynamic resolution scaling at all. So, yeah. The Xbox Series S seems like it's not as powerful as what Microsoft has basically given us the info about, and it honestly does seem like that the Xbox One X is actually still more powerful than the Xbox Series S. Now, that's what a lot of people were basically saying when they heard that the console can't basically play games in 4K, and it was only 4 teraflops of compute performance compared to the Xbox One X being 6 teraflops of computing power and compute performance. And honestly, it wasn't true. A lot of people were saying that the Series S is a lot more powerful. In some cases, the tech still really is, especially being able to get at 120 frames a second and have an AMD with much more faster CPU and all that good stuff. But honestly, it just sounds like with these games not being able to run at a solid 1080p on the Xbox Series S, even though it's considered as a 1440p console, it just makes games honestly still. It just makes the Xbox One X basically still look like it's more powerful of a console. And honestly, I believe that it honestly really is. And I'm very so disappointed with the Xbox Series S. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably also going to be disappointed with it too. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Do you not care about graphics or, resolution, or is it really, really disappointing to you, especially for a next-gen console in 2020? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Hit a like if you enjoy this content, and subscribe for those of you that are new to the channel. And we will be sure to keep you guys posted with more gaming content in the future. And also, like I said, comment down below of your thoughts if you don't mind the resolution differences, or if you are very, very disappointed with this in 2020 on a next-gen console. So comment down below, hit a like, and subscribe for those of you that are new. And we will be sure to catch you guys on the next video. So, peace out.